We're back on the record in 14-0-1432. Mr. Jones appears in custody. He's represented by Ms. Smith and also Mr. Colvin, Mr. Rubenstein, and Mr. Wade are both here for the people. And we're outside the presence of our jury. Anything before I invite our jury back in, Mr. Colvin?
Not for the defense.
Mr. Rubenstein?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. I'll go ahead and call for our jury then. Eyes for our jury. Thank you. Please be seated. And for the record, our jury has now joined us back in the courtroom. Welcome back. There's a little bit of a change in the schedule, ladies and gentlemen, once again to address a travel issue with airline tickets and all of those things. The parties have agreed that we'll take a break with Mr. Singer's cross-examination, call another witness, and then we'll bring Mr. Singer back after that. So it's all by agreement of the parties. So thank you. Mr. Rubenstein.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people call Lamar Quarles to the stand.
All right, thank you. Just watch the black cord. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, thank you, sir. If you can have a seat in the green chair, please. And you can proceed whenever you're ready, Mr. Rubenstein. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Can you please tell the jury your full name and spell your last name?
My full name is John Lamar Quarles. Quarles is spelled Quarles.
Where do you currently live?
I currently live in Biddeford, Maine.
How are you employed?
I'm with the Biddeford Police Department as a detective.
When did you move, or did you previously live and work in Mesa County?
I lived in Mesa County from April of 2006 until February of 2012.
During that time and in 2007, were you in the Investigations Division of the Mesa County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, sir, I was.
As part of that, did you participate in the investigation of the disappearance of Paige Bergfeld?
I did participate in that, yes, sir.
Was one of your roles in that investigation to investigate the origin of track phone packaging or of a track phone that had called into Ms. Bergfeld's cell phone?
Yes, sir.
And that was into her Models Inc. phone?
Yes, sir.
How did you do that?
During the execution of the search warrant of Bob Scott's RV, we had located a track phone wrapper in a garbage can. That wrapper was collected as evidence. I had subsequently taken that wrapper to a Walmart with the knowledge that only two vendors actually sell track phone, Walgreens and Walmart. I took it to the Rimrock Walmart, which was the closest. They had scanned the SKU, it's the barcode on the back, and it told me that that particular track phone that belonged in that wrapper had been sold from the Walmart on North Avenue, and it gave me a specific date and time, and including the actual cash register number that purchase had been made.
What did you do next?
I had gone to that Walmart. I had contacted the loss prevention department.
I'm sorry, Mr. Quarles, let me just back up for a second.
Sure.
You said that Walmart. so you were at the Rimrock Walmart,
Correct.
and when you said that Walmart, which were you referring to?
When I said that Walmart, the Walmart where the phone had been purchased, which was the Walmart on North Avenue. I had gone to the Walmart on North Avenue at that point.
Did you speak to anyone?
I spoke to the loss prevention folks there and gathered video from the timestamp that was given to me from the barcode purchase.
After you gathered the video, did you review it there?
I reviewed the video there on scene and also at the department later.
When you were at Walmart, did they have or you have somebody come in to burn a disc of the video that you had reviewed?
I did, yes, sir.
Was that somebody named Rusty?
Yes, I believe it was.
If I may approach, Your Honor.
Yes, you may.
I'm going to hand you what's marked People's Exhibit 804, and I've previously shown this to defense counsel.
Thank you.
What is that, sir?
This is the burned DVD of the Walmart surveillance video.
And that's actually a copy of it, is that right?
Copy, yes, sir.
Have you previously reviewed that to make sure that that was a copy of what you had obtained from Walmart?
I have. I initialed it right here in red ink. The actual evidence item is LQ18, which are my initials, LQ.
And then you have your handwritten initials, LQ, as well, indicating that that's the same disc that you reviewed previously?
Yes, sir.
And was that a complete and accurate copy of the surveillance footage that you obtained from Walmart?
Yes, it is.
And that's the surveillance footage for the date and time indicating the purchase?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time I'd move to admit People's Exhibit 804.
Any objection, Mr. Colvin?
No, sir.
804 is admitted. Thank you. You can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Quarles, I'm going to completely switch gears with you to a different topic. Was it also one of your responsibilities at some point to go collect a shoe off the side of Highway 50?
Yes, it was.
Do you recall approximately where on Highway 50 that was?
I believe it was not far from the Canna Creek Road, right there off of Highway 50.
Do you recall which side of the road?
I believe it was the incoming side, incoming to Grand Junction side.
So from Delta?
From Delta,
From
yes, sir.
Delta up to Grand Junction direction?
Correct, yes, sir.
If I may approach, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I'm going to show you two photographs and another exhibit labeled People's Exhibits 406A, B, and C, and I've previously shown these to defense counsel.
Thank you.
First, do you recall the date that you retrieved that?
No, sir, I don't specifically remember the date.
Was it sometime in July of 2007?
Yes, it was.
Okay. What are People's Exhibits, what is People's Exhibit 406 B and C?
B and C are the photos of looks like a woman's heeled shoe.
And are those photos of the way it looked when you arrived?
Yes, that's an accurate representation of what they looked like when I discovered them.
Okay. Do you know if you took those photos?
I believe I took these photos, yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I'd move to admit People's Exhibit 406 B and C.
Do you have an objection, Mr. Colvin?
No, sir.
People's Exhibits 406B and C are both admitted.
And what is 406A, sir?
406A is the shoe itself.
Okay. And you collected that?
Yes, sir, I did.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd move to admit People's Exhibit 406A.
Do you have an objection, Mr. Colvin? 406A is admitted.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Colvin, cross-examination whenever you're ready.
Very fast. First thing, so that shoe is collected on the side of the road heading from Delta to Grand Junction, right?
Correct, yes, sir.
I know this is going to sound like a dumb question, but bear with me. Is that shoe made out of paper?
No, sir.
All right. Other question. What you've testified to today has been pretty brief, but back in 2007, you were one of the investigators working this case, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you had a bunch of different tasks, right?
Correct.
You didn't just get a shoe and a disc. You did whatever you were asked, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were working under the direction of the lead investigator, who was Beverly Gerald. Is that
Yes,
right?
sir. Correct.
And whatever tasks you did, you reported them to Ms. Jarrow, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We have nothing further.
I have nothing based on that.
Rubenstein. All right, thank you, sir. Is he under subpoena, and if so, is he free to go?
He is under subpoena and he is free to go as far as the people are concerned.
No objection.
All right, thank you. So you're released from your subpoena and free to go.
Thank you, Judge.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
Judge, if I can approach and retrieve those exhibits and place the exhibits that Mr. Singer was using back on the witness stand.
Sure. Feel free to stretch if anybody needs to stretch.
Did Jim go get Mr. Singer?
Mr. Singer, you can retake the stand, sir, and you're still under oath, just as a reminder. Thank you. And you can continue with your cross-examination whenever you're ready, Mr. Colvin. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Ms. Watson, I'm gonna be asking you to publish something. Can I approach the
Yes, sir.
Whoops. Ms. Watson, could I trouble you to put up 602?
Not sure we caught you on that, but Mr. Colvin has asked for 602 to be up on the smart board.
Okay, permission to approach for this, Judge?
Yes, you do. Thanks. You can have continuing permission with this witness as well. Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're looking at, we've seen this picture before, that's
Yes.
the gate going into the yard, right?
Yes,
Building's on the right side of this picture. Right.
yes.
This fence is the fence line that runs along this side of the west side of the property?
Right. Just on the other side, it's 23 Road.
Okay. Now, this fence, I mean, this is chain link up front, obviously, we can see through that. That fence, you can't see through it.
Has a weave in it, just so people can't see in as easy to help deter thieves.
Okay. So when you say weave, it's like little metal slats that go through
Yes.
the chain link, right?
Yes,
And it's, the whole purpose of it is to obstruct the view, right?
yes.
Okay. Can we go to the next one in sequence, which I believe is 603? Please. Thank you. All right. Now, there's a trailer parked here. That line, that fence, it wasn't unusual for trailers to be parked there. Is that correct?
That's where we stored our service work.
Okay, so if you guys were working on a trailer and it wasn't in the shop, you'd store it along that fence line, is that correct?
Inside the yard, we did a U-shaped perimeter around it, but we parked on 3 of the fences, the east, west, and north fence.
Okay. Now, when, the day this photo is taken, there's one trailer there, right?
Yes,
On a different day, there could be more trailers there, right?
correct.
Now, you don't know how many trailers were parked along that fence on June 28th, do you?
No.
But it changed day to day.
It does.
And it's certainly common for there to be trailers parked along that fence overnight, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then, may I please have 604? And that building right there is the building, Walker SMS, is that right?
If you're pointing to the brown building or the white one?
This brown one, right?
Brown, yes, that is Walker, yes.
On 604, it's the building directly behind that white truck.
Yes,
Okay. Walker SMS isn't associated with Bob Scott in any way, right?
no, it is not.
I mean, there's no reason your employees are over there, right?
No.
And just so we're clear, if you go straight across 23 Road, this is a big open field, right?
It was, yes,
And this whole area is light industrial, right?
correct.
And so at nighttime, there's not a lot of people running around in this area.
Just the people who live north of town.
Okay, so this neighborhood, if you will, this is pretty abandoned at nighttime, right?
It is, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Walton. I'm sorry, Ms. Watson. One more. I'm not trying to be difficult. Could I get you to do 6:10? Just to orient us, but I can get started. So on that picture with the door, and there's that cabinet to the right side of the door
Yes,
when you're looking out. Now, that cabinet, you said something about a key. What did you say about the key?
he'd asked me if it was locked and if Les was the only one that had the key to it.
Okay,
And I said no, that the key was usually kept above the door. There's a lip there.
okay. Continue. So this cabinet was normally kept locked, and normally a key was kept up here?
Correct. If the door wasn't locked, the cabinet's not square.
Uh-huh.
So if you didn't keep it locked, the doors would open up.
Okay. So, just so we're clear, if you don't lock that door, it's gonna flop open.
Yes,
Okay, so you had to keep it locked unless you wanted the door to smack you when you walked by it.
right, correct.
Now, we're talking about 2007. Is it possible the key wasn't kept up there in 2007 and you don't remember it?
It's possible, I guess.
Okay. At some point since 2007, was it the practice to keep the key up there?
Actually, but that's where we kept the keys even back then. Now the cabinet's not there now, so it's kept in a different place.
Okay. But that's how you remember it, keep the key there so people can get into it, right?
Yes, yes,
But the locking part isn't to keep things secret, it's to keep the doors from coming open.
correct.
Can I have a second?
Yes, sir.
Remember that picture where we were looking at the fence and the trailer was parked there?
Yes,
On July 1st, I think I said June 28th, the date I should have been asking about, on July 1st, do you have any way of knowing how many trailers were parked along that fence on July 1st?
no,
Okay. And the reason, June 28th, July 1st, whatever date, you don't know, is because day to day it changed based upon what was coming through the shop.
that is correct.
Okay. And did law enforcement ever ask you how many trailers were parked here on July 1st?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Assuming they had asked you that 5 days later, 4 days later, from July 1st, could you have figured it out?
Possibly by going back over the work orders. We might have been able to, but our work orders are date stamped when the trailer's checked in, not when it's checked out, when the customer picks it up, so it would have been a little difficult.
Okay. So even back then, at best, it would have been an educated guess.
Correct.
But nobody ever asked you as far as you know.
No, they did not.
And with that, we have no further questions. Judge, Mr. Singer's under our subpoena. We'd ask that he remain on subpoena.
Thank you. Mr. Rubenstein, do you have any redirect?
I do have some brief questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Singer, you mentioned that you normally kept all the cans, the gas cans in one area,
Yes.
and why was that? For safety reasons, is that what you said?
No, that's what Mr. Collins said. That's where we actually kept them, was on the northwest wall. That's where we have all of our spray paints, our lubricants, our solvent tank for cleaning out bearings and greasy things. So they were just all kept down there, out of the way.
Doesn't sound like maybe you thought about it for safety reasons, but those sound like all the dangerous items.
Yes,
Is that right? Okay. And gas that's something you probably don't want to be kicked around a bunch, right?
no, we don't want people stumbling over it, so,
Similar reasons, you would be fine with him keeping his gas can there rather than driving around with it back and forth?
Yeah, it's out of the way right there, so it wasn't no problem.
Driving a gas can back and forth, would that be something that you would try to avoid? People would typically try to avoid driving a filled gas can back and forth?
Well, I don't understand what you mean when you say driving it back, keep him in the back of a pickup truck, or?
Yeah, or in his car. I mean, you were fine with him leaving it there rather than taking it home and bringing
Yeah.
it back?
I would have no knowledge of if it was in the back of his car, back of his truck. So that would be his personal choice if he carried it around in his truck.
Is that somewhat unusual for people to haul it back and forth as opposed to just keep it?
Unless you were filling it, probably. But again, personal gas cans, I've seen trucks come into our shop all the time with gas cans in them.
Okay. Do you recall if you let John Livingston keep a gas can there?
I don't know who John Livingston is.
Okay. What about George Corluzzo? No? Okay.
Unless these are customers' names.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Colvin, other questions for the witness?
I refer to it as a safety thing. The goal is you want to keep all your flammables in an area, right?
Correct. When we built the shop, we have a bunch of shelves, that back wall, because there's a hot seat, some different things, equipment that doesn't move. We put all of our jack stands, because there's about a 6-foot area from the door to that wall that wouldn't be in the way of bringing a trailer in and going in and out. So there again, it's one location where you don't have to go looking all over the shop for a particular item.
But it wasn't like you would get in trouble for not having your gas can in that area, right?
No?
I mean, as we can see from the picture that's up, you kept propane bottles around the shop, right?
Yes,
Propane bottles could be hazardous.
if they're full.
Okay.
If they were sitting right there, they were probably empty at the time, but
But certainly, if you did have a full one, you're not going to get in trouble for having it there, right?
no.
Okay. Thank you. We have nothing further.
Mr. Rubenstein?
I have nothing based on that, Your Honor, and I think we actually, again, anticipated slightly off, and I think I sent all of my witnesses away to come back at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not sure, that's okay. It's hard to forecast the length of time of it.
Can I ask you one question?
Are you releasing Mr. Singer from the people's subpoena, Mr.
He can be
Rubenstein?
released from our subpoena,
All right,
yes.
you're released from the people's subpoena, but still under subpoena by the defense. Please stay in touch with the defense counsel for scheduling purposes. Thank you, sir. So we'll go ahead and take our lunch recess at this time, ladies and gentlemen. Please remember all the instructions for the recesses. We'll resume at 1 o'clock today. Thank you so much. Please rise for our jury. Our jury's left the courtroom. Anything else, Mr. Rubenstein?
Nothing.
Mr. Colvin?
Judge, we would like to supplement the record. Ms. Smith is going to ask to supplement the record.
Thank you. Ms. Smith?
Your Honor, I do just want to put one police report into the record. I've given a copy to Mr. Waite. What this police report is Ms. Linderholm's second interview with Investigator Berg on July 12th of 2007, in which she explained to Investigator Berg that anything to do with Rob Dixon gives her a bad feeling because what she has heard about him abusing Paige. And so that is what I believe the door was open to and that I should have been able to cross-examine on. I understand that the court's ruling was that the door wasn't opened, prevented me from cross-examining on that, but I wanted to just have the record be clear about what information I think was prevented from being introduced through the defense per the court order despite the prosecution opening the door. May I do that?
Mr. Waite?
Well, Judge, I understand that she's trying to supplement essentially with this report her belief about what Ms. Linderholm may have said. However, she didn't draw the court's attention to this during the course of the argument prior to this about, about what, what the source of her information was to form that belief. Ms. Linderholm did not testify to the items that are, I think, highlighted in this case, or highlighted in here. Ms. Linderholm has now been released, and so if the court's going to accept that, I object to the court accepting it just from the standpoint of, at this point, I think it's too late.
Anything else, Ms. Smith?
To clarify, what Mr. Waite referenced to highlighted portions are the portions I've highlighted in the report that I think I should have been able to cross-examine Ms. Linderholm on. Nothing else, though.
All right, thank you. The people's objection is sustained. Anything else, Mr. Rubenstein? Mr. Colvin?
Since the document's been referenced, it's the defense position that it should be retained in the record, but I recognize the court is sustaining the objection that it's not being accepted into the record for argumentative purposes. But I would ask the court consider retaining it for purposes of appellate record.
Well, yeah, it'll be an issue if it becomes necessary on appeal for you, but I'm not going to keep documents just because somebody made a record about it or wants me to keep something for the appellate purposes. You all have those records, and you could proceed as you normally would on an appeal, so.
All right,
Thank you.
understood. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll be in recess until 1 o'clock, please. Thank you.